Thank you. I have done this too many times. Let me just change my scene here. I've done this too many times where I check everything except the mute key on my microphone. Yes, it was. Thank you, Bob, for coming in and letting me know that it is muted. I've done this 5 times now. I make sure that the keyboard is sounding, but I never check to see if I turned off the mute. So let me open up once again for those who are coming in wanting to know what am I doing. Sam Tolbert, Sound of Joy Music Services. I am sharing some of my tips and techniques I've gotten out of uh, 2 productions today, viewer request, and I wanted to go live impromptu, impromptu, and just share. As I was alluding, over the past couple of years, I've picked up probably close to 2,000 new subscribers. All may not be musicians because I've been posting a lot of shorts to contribute to what YouTube is asking all of the content creators to do. So I've been posting a lot of shorts in a lot of different genres. You see me posting R&B shorts, rock. I think I posted a rock short yesterday, using the various voices that are on my keyboard to set that type of an atmosphere. And I said part of what I want to be able to do is not just meet the request of musicians, but of listeners of music. Being a church musician for the greater part of my life did not mean that that's all I played. I listened to all types of music, but I worked in the genre of being a church musician. And because music evolves and borrows from all different sounds, I'm not limited in a sense to only do a particular sound. But I'm more, you might say, at home with the quasi hymnal, contemporary, light jazz, fusion chord family where the songwriters created a song, I learned their song, and then adapted some of those chords. So back to where I was just finished Praise Is What I Do as one of the viewer requests, and I was just giving an idea of how I took that same song and used different genres of music around it. Now, you always musicians should ask one another, why do you play that chord? If this is the chord in the song, why do you do that chord? Why put that note there? Because it's a nice dissonant sound, which is going to lead to now a G underneath a E flat. Well, as I've often said, when you know the scales, G is part of the E flat major scale. So you're gonna borrow that chord, but let it resolve. The one note change. It's there. So you have a license. I've often always said, if it sounds good, leave it. If it doesn't, then don't. Now, what if I use an F? In a different part of the song, yes, I can use an F underneath an E flat, but because F key is in the scale. Can I use an A? Can I use a B? Of course, a C, a E flat. All the alternate keys, believe it or not, they in any particular way that you're writing a song. Hey, how you doing, Brooke? Glad to have you come in. In any particular song, you can try them, and if they fit the mode of which you're trying to set, you know, I don't cover every scale, and every time I go through other sites, they're covering all the different jazz scales and the classical scales. I left a lot of that out because gospel music borrows from everybody. So I try to cover what particular song that that might be wanting to be learned, the scale used in that song, as not to be confusing. As I say, I'm not a jazz musician, but I can hear the inflections of jazz in particular gospel songs. So I borrow what I hear. Now I know I'm going down to the G. I can go straight G, a G7, and not a walk up. Classical. Jazz, there's your jazz chord, your contemporary chord, my version, was that 6-2-5-1. The jazz turnaround to get to this point. There's your contemporary chord, your tritone. Straight chord, a C7 chord. Just stretch it right. Because praise is what I owe. Your jazz chord. So musicians have the ability to retain tones. After they learn a song, they don't forget the song, they go to the next song, but they retain what they heard in the previous song that they learned. So I've been retaining chords for decades now. From the first time I began to recognize music in the cartoons and in the commercials where I could hum that tune, go to the piano, and struggle to find it out, I still retain what some of those tones are. Now that I have a bigger palette to pick from, again, looking at the range, all these notes give, I can now stretch on that. The F. I can hear those tones as I apply it to a song. Now, does it have to be a Christian song all the time? Misty, I'm sure I'm playing it wrong. I'm sure it's the wrong chord. But because I've heard that song played dozens of times on different productions, I can now look at the very chords that I hear in that song and apply it to any other song. Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, early in the morning. B flat, F7 to thee, resolve. So I can now, no, this is a Yamaha S70XS. It's on year 15 and still sounds like it did when it was brand new. I find that retaining melodies comes pretty easy, but do you also retain chord progressions? Yes. How would you know how to play a song in the right chord progression if you just remember the melody? Well, I teach melody is just a scale. Melody is just a broken scale. Chords is what the melody rides on to tell a story. If you had just chords, where's the melody? You wouldn't know what song I was just playing there because there's no melody. Hey, Johnny, how you doing? You have no melody to give you a reference of to why those chords were being placed in that song. If I was playing "Mary Had a Little Lamb," you would know that I'm doing "Mary Had a Little Lamb." You wouldn't know. But if I went, "Mary had a little lamb, a little lamb, a little lamb," now all of a sudden the melody is giving you a path lyrics to a known melody, and the chords is just giving an actual support for that melody. So when I learn songs, and you saw me just throwing a bunch of chords together that I've learned over the years from hearing other people play, I can apply them to any kind of melody. Twinkle, 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 little star, how I wonder who you are. I can now apply those same chords to a different melody. Let's see. What else is good? Let's get a church example. Let's go to C. I have decided to follow Jesus. I have decided to follow Jesus. Decided to follow Jesus. Turning back, boom, 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 turning back. Now, if I just played the chords by themselves, you wouldn't know what song I was playing. But you would say, oh, that's got to be some jazz tune. Which jazz tune is that? The melody told you what song I was playing. Hey, boss man, I am watching from Oceanside, California at the gym. Hey, you know, don't 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 pull a muscle watching me. Thanks for watching all the way from there. So the melody does more than give you a scale, but it tells the story of why those chords and the association of that melody has with those chords. So yes, you want to know the 1, 6, 2, 5, 3, 7, no 3, 6, different sixes with a major, a 2, 5. That's nice, but what melody can you associate with the number system? Again, I have no problem about this. Been using it all my life, didn't know I was, but I will always branch off from it. And of course, manipulate it. Always manipulating it because I've heard other people in other songs manipulate it, and then I would do the same thing as I learned other songs. Thank you. That's helpful. So it sounds like chord progressions are flexible. You can apply any melody to the scale to that same progression. Yes, you can, as long as it makes sense. Again, the melody is the guide. I'm not a great songwriter, but I've written my own songs to the genre of gospel music for churches. Whenever I would write a song, I would lead with the lyrics first, and then the melody, and then the chords. Some people have the chords first, and then they create a melody to go around the chords. Bob has 50 years of practice and talent, of course. Oh goodness, I hate when I'm trying to talk theory and I've got people here who participate in the actual writing of theory. So forgive me if my nomenclature is incorrect. I never sat with a piano teacher before, and I've said this in my past. I've never sat with a formal piano teacher. A lot, in fact, 99.9% of what you see me do is from listening to music, sitting down to a piano, and in my early days, hunting and pecking, trying to remember the chords, which is why my memory for chords is so, I'll call it, what's the word I want to use? My memory for chords is so adaptive because I've spent so many times hearing songs I could not find how to play it on the piano, and I wanted to remember so bad I could shut everything out and just try to hone down on what did I hear in these numbers. What did I hear? Did I hear this? Did I hear that? Did I hear that? I didn't hear that. Didn't hear that. Didn't hear that. Okay, that's what I heard, and then I would have to go back and listen to something again or hear it again. After I got this, if I got this, if I got this, and I go, oh wait a minute, and I would have to go back to the piano and hunt for it, not knowing the correct fingering, not knowing the record that there was such a system like this that would have cut that down. So a lot of what I do is I intuitively tear apart everything I hear to hear the least common note, high and low. Once I know where these are, I can find everything else in between. And because I practice extensively chords just to be able to hear them and recognize them in songs, I can learn a song in seconds, basically. Once I hear what context that is being struck, is it built on? Is it a major scale? Is it a minor scale? Is it a diminished scale? Whatever those scales may be called, which I have the books on them, and I only break into them when I have to. But I love being able to decipher and take a song apart and then try to play it like the person or the person who's on the album or in that production. Maybe not 100%, but I'll be close enough to be able to know that, okay, this is where they're going, this is where they started, and this is where they wound up. And usually chords are the last thing I learn because they are subjective to the actual genre that the song is written in. If it's written in a country standpoint, I know it's going to be within this family of chords, a minor to a major, then a major, then to another major. So if it's a country song, I know I don't have to worry about because country is not going to take me there. But if it's a gospel song, then I realize they're going to go to jazz. And because I know that, then I got to hear what is the piano player doing in any kind of a gospel song, because that usually gives me the greatest picture of the song. Everybody else is just an auxiliary player. The piano in the olden days, in the gospel days, if you heard what the piano player was doing, you can learn the entire song, and then just add a left hand, bass. Yeah, Johnny, it was a lot of work in my younger days because I didn't know what I was doing. But once I purchased chord books and I got to understand how to form a chord, I had to read a book to know what this chord was. Let's take that off. I had to read a book, and I still have that book here, to know that this was a G major seventh, because I didn't know what that was called, but I could hear it, and this is the correct fingering for it. I didn't know how to do the correct fingering of it. Now, when I learned the song, I go, okay, I hear that chord in this key, but it's a G chord. Why is that G chord there? Well, in the D major scale, there's your G, and there's the chord that you can borrow from G to help support a path 2-5. And that was like opening up the holy grail of music to me, because now I had to go back in my history and go, well, how many songs did I not know that chord was being used on? So then I can apply it to anything else. Everything now began to open up musically because I got some theory without the help of, because in my day as a young musician, the older musicians refused to help 13-year-olds like me. Sorry, there was I guess a feeling of go get it like I did, in a sense. So I said if I ever became functional musician, especially in the church, I said I would not hide any chords from anyone who would ask me. And that's what you see me doing in this format. I refuse to hide what I've learned, but basically out of the mud. And you want to call it pulling it out of the mud, I did. I've yet to have a musician come in and show me how to play a song. And I'm now doing this since I was probably really good at 18. That's when I was good enough, comfortable enough to walk into any church, and if they're singing a song, know what key they was in and be able to apply a particular style to it. Because I had learned as a instrumentalist how to play classical music, how to play the big band sound, which is why you see me do this. My music instructor as a French horn player was a band musician, tremendous trumpeter. And he wrote music for the band, and he loved the big band sound. So I became immersed in the theory of that sound, where you would have. Let me see if I can pull up all of my keyboard settings. Where are we? I was in a jazz band, so there was no piano playing for me there. I was immersed in the band, pulling up my band's patch here. Let's see, trumpet section, bone sections. Where's my big band? Small brass band. Um, that's a small brass section. Where's the big brass section? Medium brass. Let me see. There we go. What are some of the things we used to do? I forgot what that song was. That kind of stuff is what I came up in as a instrumentalist. And also when we did when he moved us into the orchestra environment, and we learned, this is part of the history of how I'm able to hear music without really playing it. I was a French horn player when we did. I was the second horn. 1812 1812 overture. So when you hear me play on the piano, I'm an orchestra. I'm hearing everything that I would hear when I was a younger musician, learning music in an orchestra, in a jazz band, which had flutes. Yeah, we had a flute player. We had clarinets. We had saxophones. We had trumpets. I was the mellophone, which is a version of the French horn. It's actually a smaller version. Bass tuba, and these were all around me. So whenever I'm playing, I'm picturing myself being in that orchestra and being able to hear all the music around me. So I hear all of the, hey, welcome, Malik. I'm a beginner. I'm learning a lot of theory, but the part of me is like, man, I just want to get to start learning songs. Any suggestions or advice? I think I missed also Invasion. They used a lot of drop twos in the big bands. Yeah, they did. But my teacher, when he wrote the music, he fattened it all up, so everybody had their note, and you had to be on key. Any suggestions? I always stress that you learn the easier songs first and then perfect it. and let that be your starting point. Um, because music today, or the gospel music today, has evolved into a more, I want to use the word simplified, not in a negative term, but in a term where you're not challenged. You're not challenged if you're playing the one, the six, the four, and the one as a musician anymore, because you're just setting a floor for whoever's the lead singer or for whatever the actual melody is. Back in my day, I had to learn songs that but today's music is not allowing you, or not giving you rather, that challenge where you have to hear the thoughts of the songwriter in the song. Now you're hearing the thoughts of the lead. Not that there's anything bad about that. Again, I've often said I wish I had written songs that get 50 million views using the one, the six, the four, and the one. I wish I did. I wish I had been more attentive instead of staying in my lane. You might say, because I could have written a lot of these songs around that format. In fact, I've actually written one song in that format to see whether or not could I have participated. I had used the word compete. Musicians in some days always want to show you how many more chords they know. Today's environment doesn't leave a lot of chords for musicians. No, we're going to be in the one. Don't go out of the one. No, don't put a seven in the one. Stay in the one. No, don't put what is seven? Don't put that in the one. No, no, we're not there. Keep that there. So it's, to me, a lot of today's music, and it's good that it can teach the musician to be restrictive, so that you stay within the context of the song. But at sometimes, especially a young musician, you hear more than just one chord. You do. I know I hear hundreds of, well, hundreds is a lot, dozens of different ways to approach this chord. I could just go with the G, or I could go here. I could go here. Oh, I could bridge out of it and end up there, because I've heard so much music. So if you're gonna just restrict me to right here, and you just stay right there and don't go nowhere, I'm like, okay, I want to come out of here, but I know I can't, because it's going to, in a band setting, throw off whatever's coming. So when some songs may go, just go right to the four, my ears say, walk right there, or and play the four like that. That's what my ears are telling me, or my hearing is telling me. Hey, I want to do this, but to know the song says you're going to be here, then you're going to be here, then you're going to go to the minor, to the six, then you're going to go to the five, and you're going to go back and just follow this pattern. Just follow this pattern. Don't get off. Don't get off that pattern. My ears are going like this. That's what my ears are telling me. But then I can go back to and follow. I can stay right here if I needed to. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Trust me, you have to understand from a an aging musician standpoint. I can't speak for all the other musicians who came before me, who never sat down to give me their approach to how they play, like they play. But I can give you what my approach has been. I hear the music. Sometimes when I'm listening to a song being sung that I never heard for the first time, I'm hearing what the piano player is doing, what the organist is doing, what the synth guy is doing, what the guitar. I hear what they each doing in their own part of the music, and I'll go to the piano and try to emulate that. You could be doing walk ups and walk downs because it sounds better than just hitting just one chord each bar. Yes, it does invasion. Unfortunately, unless you're the lead music director, where you can say, "Hey guys, I know we're gonna go from the we're in let's put it we're in the E. Now we you know we're going to the six. So to keep from the guys from getting trapped, or I shouldn't say trapped, lost on the way to the six, just go from the one, just go straight to the six, then go to the four, and go to the five, Stay on the 5, stay on the 5. Then on the 5, go to the 4 on the bass and stay on the 5. Now go to the 1. So that direction, make sure that no one gets lost. When it's just a lone musician, as I've been the majority of my life, I could go anywhere I want, as long as I'm there with it. When if the singing is in the 1 and they're gonna wind up in the 6, I know I got 2 beats to get there. 1, 2, 3. I'm right there. When they're ready for the sing, then I know I'm going to the 4. And I develop the path to get there, as long as I'm correct, to the 4, and I can walk back to the 1. Can you teach us how to play like that? Wait, can you teach us how to play like that? You hit one chord and play like 2 or 3 movements or chords before you get to the next chord in the other bar. I'm trying to think, which video did I show you how to walk up the scale in chords? Because that's all I'm doing. You like E major, huh? I saw your congregational video in E major. It was a great time. Hey, T drums. No, I can play in E major. I generally don't go to E major unless I'm just in my practice mode, because so many songs are not there. But as a young musician playing in a Kojic church, Church of God in Christ, Pentecostal, where they could just be in any key, I had to be prepared when E major came up in a song like that to be able to maneuver and to work around that key, because most times a testimony song could last anywhere from 3 to 8 minutes, depending upon how the people are feeling to that song. After a while, you get tired of doing the same thing. So I would learn how to just jump around there. If it's major, major 7s, to the minor, to the diminish. That gets boring after a while. So now I have to break it up. So now my bass hand, because I didn't have a bass player, would have to do something. So what you saw was a sample in that minute and 10 or 15 seconds of what I was doing back in my Pentecostal days. Now, again, I've been out of a Pentecostal church since 1998 and got to a church which went to the genre of playing hymns, where I felt more comfortable, because I got tired of playing all that Pentecostal stuff. If you find what video that is, let me know. Invasion, I'd have to go back and look at some of my lives, but I'd have no problem doing it again. I teach walking up chords. Just to keep following the scales. There it is. Which gives you a floor for what you want. If you want to do a walk up, just practicing that. It is just to give you a point of reference. So if you wanted to walk up, no, I didn't go all the way up. I just walk here. There's change. Now, there's a change there. There it is. That's what I wanted to hear, but I was playing the wrong note right there. And only because I've heard those chords used in other songs. Excuse me, I missed up. Can you play My Life Is in Your Hands by Kirk Franklin? C sharp starts with You Don't Have to Worry. I'm Pentecostal, at least that's the style I would want to learn first. Yeah, Pentecostal, and I'm a 25-year Church of God in Christ musician, and a lot of the chords I developed weren't being used by that era of musicians. I kind of in my era of New York City, set the tone for how a big band musician can take any song and just throw in big band songs. So, am I the originator of it in my area? Yes, because they were not doing what most churches was not doing musically. What I was doing, because they didn't have, again, the theory behind it that I had. My life is in your hand in C sharp. You don't have to worry. Join the income on. Just all day, all day. Oh, for there's a friend named Jesus to love, who will wipe away your tears. Or if your heart is broken, just lift your hands and sing. All scales. So once you know the scale and you know the original chords that the songwriter Kirk Franklin has, just changing my chord. Yeah, Kirk Franklin has his own chords he like. You don't have to worry. I gotta be careful of YouTube because they'll hear what I'm doing and they'll give me a copyright notification. And don't you be afraid. Joy comes in the morning. I'm slowing down for YouTube. Let them catch up. Troubles, they don't last always. For there's a friend named Jesus that can wash your tear away. Look at all these scales. For if your heart is broken. And I'm just letting you, I'm pausing right there so that you can see that the entire keyboard is open to a musician. This is something that trumpet players don't have, that drummers don't have. Look at all these notes that a piano player has. I'm down in the mud down here because that's where the song is. The melody is right down here. Just E, C, just D flat. Just lift your hands and say, oh, I know that I can make it. The choir voicing. F, G flat. I know that I can stand. They come my way. So all these chords are really right there around this melody. It's just, again, my walk-up chords. I didn't have this. I didn't have the Nashville system. I had what I called my system. One, let's see. One is a root, a seventh, root. Well, I'm sorry, major, seventh, major, seventh, major, seventh, seventh, major. So that was my resting point for gospel chords, gospel voices. So anything that song I learned that fell into that bed of chords for me helped me learn that particular song. So when I learned this song, right in my bed, but also in the Nashville bed, I'm in that contemporary mode, which is sort of jazz. Life is in your hand. I'm hearing these changes. This is the smallwood change. Wow, I didn't even hear that E chord until you played it. Oh, I'm sorry. I should be catching up on some of these. Forgive me if I'm not looking. Sometimes when I'll get lost in the music. So I want to make sure I missed anything. How can you play My Life is in Your Hands? I just did that. Hopefully I didn't play too much to get a notice. I don't see anything popping over yet. Make sure nothing popped over. No, nothing popped over. Pentecostal is the style we want to learn first. Oh, okay. You sound pretty modern though. Yes, I am a traditional musician. My background is as contemporary gospel was starting to emerge. We're going back to the '70s, where as the Hawkins were coming out, I still had the big band sound in me. So when they began to come out with "Oh Happy Day" and with the what are the big numbers then? "Oh Happy Day," I heard the voice that Jesus said, "Be grateful, thank you, Lord." When those songs started coming out, I could hear some of the big band sound in those chords, so it made it easier for me to learn them. Where other musicians still today don't hear the chords of "Oh Happy Day," they hear. I'm saying no, that's not the song. They do. Nobody plays that chord, but it's right there in the song because I can hear that change with that A flat. That's the chord in the album, but everybody wants to play the four. Let me see. Right, they want to go to the four because they don't their ears are not tuned to hear every note in a song. They'll go to the most easier ones, which will follow the fourth, the number system. But I hear outside of the number system. That's why I said I don't fight the number system, but I can hear the chords that are outside of it. As the songwriter writes it in there, I can hear that change and find it on the keyboard and then actually play it and sound like I was on the album with them. Can I please? Can you? Thank you. Can you please show for beginners some simple ways to make hymn accompaniment more interesting? If it's not a gospel but more traditional hymn, I tend to play mundane triads to a beat. Name me, Bob. Give me a hymn. I love hymn playing. I cut my teeth on playing hymns. Oh, thank you, T drums. Again, I've prided myself in trying to sound like any album that I ever had to learn. Whatever they were doing in the song, I had to learn to sound like I was in the actual recording. So I would tear the song apart down to, as I say, piano, organ, what the sense was doing. Whoever was playing, I wanted to be able to hear what the individual parts were and then practice it if though I was there so that I can include it in my playing. So if you were looking at, how about it as well with my soul? Oh, that's one of my favorites. What key? It as well is one of my favorites because Richard Smallwood did an instrumental and I tried to play it exactly the way he does. I still don't get it right because I hadn't really given it 100% of my attention, but maybe one day I will. But I don't want to duplicate him, but I do want to pick up his approach to that song. It's done in the key of C, but it can be changed depending upon. Well, T, let me get to Bob's "It Is Well With My Soul." I'll go with the key of C. There's my first note. When peace like a river attends my way. Occidental to F sharp. I already knew where the first note was going to be from the scales. So let me know it's in the key of C. Everybody starts it here. When peace like a river attendeth my way. That is the how you teach piano players. If you do this key, there's nothing wrong with that. I've often said, for those who took formal piano lessons, you've got one up on me. I never did, so I would struggle probably right now with a formal piano. He would say, "You're playing it wrong," and I'll go, "Well, I'm playing it like I hear it." I'll go, "When peace like a river change attendeth my way, da, da, da. Then sorrow like peace with verbal, da, 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 da. That from Oh Happy Day will never my lot thou hast taught me to say, bum it is well with my soul. So that's the approach I use. And now when I play it congregational, am I throwing all that in there? No. When it's congregational, when peace like a river attendeth my way, change when sorrow like fleet river roll, da, ba, ba, ba. Whatever my lot thou hast taught me to. So I'll match what a congregational style should be. Now, if it's a solo, that's the Richard Smallwood style, where you go. That's when you go kind of crazy with it. It is well with my soul. It is well. Oh, it is well. And change key. So you can look at what happens in the mind of a person who listens to so many people play, and go back to C. Whatever mine. So how do you become more engaged musically with a hymn? As you can see me, I'm singing the lyrics. I may not know all the lyrics, but I know the ones that start the song. So I'm actually singing what I'm hearing in my head to play. When peace like a river. So now how would I want to support that melody? I could go, when peace like a river, versus when peace like a river. I'll hear the changes around it. When peace like a river. Now I could go straight or go to a major, what is it? I could go to the F. Or I could throw in attendeth my, and give that I'll say jazz, my diminished, right? Right. My way. Again, supporting the melody. Now I know I'm going to the minor, but I'm finding another way to get there. I think they call it a secondary. I know I'm going there. This is classical. Here's a classical turnaround from Richard Smallwood. Now I'm in G because I know I'm going to wind up in G. There we go. The F7. For Seasoned Saints early service. Oh, sorry about that. How long did it take you to go from your left hand? That's good. And how did you do that? I practice mimicking my right hand. This is the break point right here. Unless I'm going up here. My left hand had to not be perfect, but it had to mimic what the right hand is doing, so it could help to support chords if I separated them. So it knows it's going to hold that chord because they're now separated, but together. So it was painstaking to separate my brain, so that I can hear the right, hear the left, and then make them work together where they didn't clash all the time. Yes, there are times where they'll fight over middle C, but it depends on where I want the lowest note. So if the lowest note is here, then the right hand gets C. If the lowest note is here, then they will share. A7. Hymns will teach your hands how to work in harmony with each other. It depends upon the approach that you want to use. What do you want to hear musically? When I hear music in my head, my hands have to respond to what I'm hearing. Did I miss any questions? Greatest Thy Faithfulness T was talking about. So if I answer your question about Bob, for how can you show me beginners some ways to make hymns accompany more interesting if it's not gospel? You're going to add flavoring to it, chordal flavoring. Again, this is nothing wrong with this. Nothing wrong with it. Here's my little interlude. I don't know the technical name to this chord, but I'll call it's a transition chord to take you from the 5 to the 1. There's that same changed transitional chord to take you to the 4. Now from here, I want to go to the 6. No, I'm going to go to the 2. Now I want to go to the 5. Now I believe these are the sub-dominant chords, so please correct me if I'm wrong. I know I'm going to the F, to the 2, but a minor to the 5. Diminish, a little flavoring to the 7th or the 5. The 5 stay there, and the 5 stay there on the bass. But look at the chords I'm adding around it. Could go minor or major. And in your own practice time, have some fun with it. No matter what that no matter what that hymn might be. I've had to place when I became the music director for a Methodist church, and they handed me. I still got the book here. Their hymnal with 800 plus pages in it. I'd never seen a hymnal with 800 pages. I said, "There's no way there's that many hymns." And they began to drill me. Well, do you know this hymn? I go, no, but I could learn it. And would you know this hymn on page 675? I look it up. I go, no, but I could learn it. And I would go back, get on the internet, find a gentleman named Organ Pipe 8 who played hymns like they're written in the hymn book, and he would, watching him play and me sight reading the notes in the hymnal, I would learn that hymn, the correct way to play it first, and then on that Sunday when they called for it, I sounded like I've been playing it all my life. That was when I actually put to practice all the things that I actually talk about. Learning the melody based upon the scales, learn the correct chording based upon what the songwriter wrote before I began to change it. One of those songs was key of F. No, key of A flat. No, it was A major. Oh, hail the power. Oh, hail the power. Maybe it wasn't A major. Probably the wrong key, but a song like that, I immersed myself in how it's played correctly, and then played it for the congregational. There's a question there. Do you often learn many songs in one key for each transition, or can you do a transition from it as well into Great is Thy Faithfulness? Every song would have an actual break point. So if you're going to merge a song, two songs together, which I've taken songs, I've merged. Trying to remember what song that I merged. I've done that when I'm short of choir members. I would take two hymns and merge them together. Transition from it as well into Great is Thy Faithfulness. Again, you've got to know where you're going to break it at from. You're going to break it from. It is well. It is well with my soul. My soul is well. It is well with my soul. Great is Thy faithfulness. E flat is G. The D to G. Great is Thy faithfulness. A major. Great. A seventh. Thy diminished. Gratefulness. Morning by morning. Morning by G. New mercy I see. All I have needed Thy hand hath diminished will cry. Minor. Diminished. Great is Thy faithfulness, Lord, unto me. It is well. So yeah, you're gonna put the break point at it as well, because they both share the same G. With my soul, it is well. It is well with my soul. There's your break point. Great it is. So it's dependent upon where you're going to break the song at. So you're going to break it at it as well into great is because they both share the same note. It's the same note scale wise in the again the path of their melody. I'll make sure I miss anybody. Don't think I've missed anyone. Make sure I can look back. We got great is thy faithfulness as well. Yeah, so I'm a lover of music from a theory composer standpoint. I often ask myself if I were writing a song, do I know enough to be able to have created it? I would hear the in the church we have two or three versions of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. That's the long version. 5 minutes at least, maybe 7 minutes if your choir is not really singing that morning. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. When I would play that song, I would get bored. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our trespasses, we give those. And it would take so long. I said, what if I rewrote the Lord's Prayer to shorten it so senior choirs in my church, in the church I was playing for, won't be standing so long? So I said, okay, I know the words. What if I rewrote the melody? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Wow, look at how much shorter I made it. And I just put a melodic melody around the lyrics. What are the next words? In earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who past against us. And I put in a ballad. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and glory forever. Amen. 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 I can turn the song into 3 minutes very easily, putting a nice beat behind it. And we sung that like that for years. Still, there were times when they wanted to bring out the. But when you're the music director and responsible for helping to keep the service moving, you look for those songs which drag a service. And the congregation liked it too because they weren't standing with the choir for the 7 or 8 minutes it took to sing the old song. Then they had, of course, the Caribbean version. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Hallowed be thy name. Yeah, they loved that one because it was shorter and it had an actual rhythm to it. And I would just play it like a rhythm. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Hallowed be thy name. Scales. And so I would just give it a nice approach, still keep it within the context of the melody, but adding an actual rhythmic movement. And this is from an actual pipe organ that I was doing, electric pipe organ. But it was a challenge for me to say, how can I take something that is common or standard and traditional, and just add a little bit of musical intuition with it. Because as a musician, you will know when music don't work. When you see people becoming bored or melancholy, or rather they're not supporting it with their enthusiasm, then you know not to use that again. So coming from a Pentecostal church, going into a Methodist church, the change did not bother me. I didn't miss the I didn't miss that because I got tired of doing that. I got weary doing it because I had to keep every Sunday creating a new way of doing. That was tiring. Every Sunday having to have to create a new way for doing. That was tiring because every Sunday, 52 Sundays out of a year, I had to create new ways of doing the same thing. So how would you change the style if you played some of these on the organ? How would I change it on the organ? In the Methodist church, pipe organ, or in the Pentecostal church? Because the organist in a Pentecostal church is just an electronic piano. Where's my organ mode? Because as I said, I'm a musician. A musician. I'm supposed to be able to play any instrument that I sit on that I am skilled in. So if I'm on a pipe organ, I would play it like the organ mode, which I'll say Presbyterian or a Catholic or a Methodist church expects to hear. The big sound. It doesn't change the music, it just changed the approach of the instrument that you're using. Now, in a Pentecostal church, when peace like a river, Let's say all. So I'm not intimidated by the church I would have had to play in, because I played in several. The style in which I would have to play, because I play all the styles that I've learned in my own path musically. And the music, if it's still the same, it's the same C on a organ, it's the same C on a piano. It's just a whole different tone, a whole different approach to the tone. And again, like for most musicians, you have to understand the instrument that you're on. A piano is always going to be a piano. A keyboard can be any instrument you want it to be. A pipe organ determines which level of, if you have original pipe organ, you got a lot of different pipe sounds. They give you that big, full cathedral sound. An electronic organ, like a Hammond, you have drawbars, and you have to know how to use them, when to turn them on, when to turn them off. Now I don't have pedals turned on for this one, but this is the keyboard organ. You often say you play as you hear the music, but you also name the chords as you go. How much does the music theory help your musicianship, or can you just play by ear and be okay? The naming of the chords is for when I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I'll hear the chord before I play it without knowing the name of it. But I'll know what, well, I'll say, well, not know the name of it. I know what a 7 sounds like. I know what a diminished sounds like. I know what a minor 6 sounds like. I know what a 13 sounds like. This way, if I play it wrong, I'll know I played it wrong, because that's not what I was looking to hear. But if someone were to ask me, what chord are you playing right now? I need to be able to give the correct answer, which means I got to see what is the lowest note that I'm playing and then count up from there, be it major, minor, diminished. Is that right? Major, minor, diminished, and sevenths. So I've got to be able to give an answer. I've always said that if someone were to ask me, what chord am I playing, it's better I know what the chord is than to show it to them, because then I will give them the reason to go to the piano, to the keyboard, and search out for that chord for themselves. And I found that I learned more when I looked at a book showing me what that chord was, and to see how many times do I use it. It became part of memory. Like I know, let's switch my sound up. I know the sound of an actual seventh chord in whatever key that I want to go to. Now, and if I go to an off key, I'll know when I'm not playing it. So I'll go back to piano. Now, what is an off key for me? I'm looking for an off key. I play in all of them. A. I look at the scale. I know where the seventh is. The major seventh is here. Right? The seventh is here. Because I know where the scale is, I know that's the sound I need to hear for a major seventh. I know that's the key I need to hear for a seventh chord. So whatever key I go into, whatever I'm playing, and if I want to hear that sound, A major. Let's take, what song would I use an A major chord for in A7, in the key of A? Has God Smiled on Me has a seventh in it? Has smiled on me. There it is. He has set me. That's diminished. Not the ace. No. F sharp. Struggle for the chord to see why they use an A7. I'd have to know why I would want to put an A7 chord in a song I'm doing. Now, no, that may be a reason why. Seven chord. Now, only if the melody was taking me that way. Yeah, if the melody is taken that way. E? No, D. Have you ever posted many files of your covers? No, Jay, and welcome. Thanks for coming in. Also, Alan, thanks for coming in. Also, I'm sorry I didn't now acknowledge you coming in. I've done close to probably 100 MIDI files in my early days on the internet. I was probably the major contributor to the MIDI file library of God's Gospel, which had dozens of my MIDIs. Also, Ernestine and Roland had many of the MIDI files that I would post, and they were posted so quickly. Even if I were to listen to them again, I would redo all of them because they were hurriedly put up there. It was my first opportunity to share MIDI files on the internet, so I would just crank out MIDIs 2 or 3 a day and put them out there with drum beats that were off because I didn't have an actual drum program to give me a straight beat. So I would try to mimic. I would try to do the hand thing with claps and I've listened to some of them since, and I go, gee, that was horrible. And there was some I put out there that were actually nice too. But yeah, I've still got MIDI files from. At one point, I was actually creating MIDI files for churches. Those were more polished, and I still have some of those, which again, people do graduate from me, which is what I wanted them to do. My purpose for a lot of MIDI files, and again, I have to share this. I So much of what I've done did not cost me anything other than my own personal money. So I would share everything I possibly could to help a church that, number one, did not have a musician or were in between musicians because I didn't want a church to have to struggle with no music. So people would contact me on the internet through email and say, do you have these songs on MIDI? I says, well, if they're out of the hymn book, I will do that for you. I can't do a song that is a popular song that an artist is selling because then that takes me out of the range of a sharing a MIDI file of a hymn to doing, as you say, a cover song that I did not get permission or I have not gotten an actual mechanical license. Because again, I do my homework, a mechanical license to create it, which would incur a cost. I'll give it to you free if it's out of the hymn book. So a lot of the songs I would do were hymn book based. I may have stretched on some of the songs, but they didn't get studio quality. They got, we don't have a musician. Let's key this guy up in our computer or in our MIDI player, and we got music until we get a trained musician. And then I would tell them, send me your musicians via email, and I'll help get them up to speed so that you don't need me anymore. Don't know what happened from those days because they never contacted me, but I knew I was able to at least support them for a service. I even went as far as doing the same thing on CDs, where I would put, now you got a Hammond organ sound, a piano sound, a bass sound on a CD. Yeah, you can't control the speed of it, you can't change the key of it, but in a pinch, if your musician is not going to be there or he's late coming in, you can play a hymn in the background and people could sing to it. So those are the type of things in my early days. This is the 2000, 2001 era. I was about supporting churches with music. Now, again, we're now at this stage where I'm now live. You're seeing me. I'm talking to you through text, and you're seeing me live and hearing my voice and seeing my hands. This was the era that I wanted to have back in the year 2000. And I'm glad it finally came. And the cost came to the point where I could, afford better sounding keyboards, the high speed internet access, high speed. Looking at one of my good cameras, another camera up here showing my keyboard. These all didn't come free. I invested in the funds I would get so that I could give a product uh, best to support musicians, because I can remember as a young musician when I received no support. So when you see me, you say, well, why is this guy showing us everything? Because I remember those days still now, even 50 years later, when no musician, and I mean no musician, who was skilled as a church musician would even show me his Hammond organ drawbar settings, that so much to turn the organ off and push all the drawbars closed. I remember that. And I said I would never, no way could I feel comfortable doing the same thing to another musician who had the same zeal that I had to learn music and not the funds. Oh, Jay, I appreciate that. That was 100% of the reasons why I had them out there, and 110 was so that your church, if you weren't quite up to learning or playing the hymn, what are some of the ones I did with the hymns I did? I'm trying to think of the numbers. I did them alphabetical. If they wanted to do the doxology after they raised the hymn, after they raised the offering, I put a doxology out there. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. And again, when you raise money, you want the people to be able to feel good about it. Praise Him, all creatures here below. And I would slow it down so they can catch up to it. Praise God from whom, praise Him above ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And they got to turn around. There's the Hawkins chord. The Church of God in Christ, Amen. Amen. And I give them a nice trill at the end. And this was our MIDI file that they could plug into their MIDI player. They did have MIDI players back then. It was on a diskette. Do I still have those little guys around? I used to have mementos of them. I don't see them out. They're in a back shelf or back drawer. I would order 100 MIDI files, MIDI cassettes rather. And I would tell people, if you don't have a email, or you don't have a way to get, well, everybody had an A drive on their computer. So what I would actually put them on a MIDI disc, and I would mail it out to a church that needed a musician. There was one church, good friend of mine started a church, and I had a Casio WK, I want to say WK 200 or 2200. It had a built-in MIDI, a built-in A drive, and they didn't have a musician. So I said, look, I'm gonna donate my keyboard to you because I know you're starting a new church, you don't have a musician. Here's a keyboard that could play the MIDI files that I have, so you can have service on Sunday. And because I'd bought a new keyboard to replace that, so I had no problem doing that. Oh yeah, where is my? Do I have it out here? Oh, let me go. I always love show and tell because some guys may not believe me. Let's change the view. So yes, I was so conscious of what churches didn't have as a provider. This is not the sum of the disc, but I still have diskettes. I had hundreds of these. For those that are of this generation, this was how we actually communicated with each other when we wanted to send files. I believe these were HD. So it had to be 1.4 meg, I believe, information on a little diskette, and you can plug this into the device and play MIDI files on them. So yeah, I this is one of out of the pack I would get. I get 100 at a time, and I would send them out to whomever would request them, so that they can have church in their service. Which one was this? It says, "Oh, how I love Jesus and precious Jesus." Not sure who I made this for. Never got out of the house, but that's how I would do it. We would write on them. There were no. You can't see that good. Although I did have a printer. I think I started printing labels later on. But yeah. Oh, here we go. I don't know if you can see that. It says Casio MIDI files. How majestic is thy name? Glory 96. This is how I would send them out. To support churches that did not have a musician. And even today, I have a gentleman, I think he does come on this site in California, who has a MIDI player, and he still will every now and then ask me to do a song for him. And this is my USB. I love show and tell. This is my USB burner. That's USB. As you can see the file. Let me go. Push that out. Boom. Comes out like a Polaroid camera. I plug that in. I can burn MIDI files still. Of course, now I email them out, but for him, I have to test it on this drive because the files I send over don't relate to his system. But if I burn it using this particular, if I burn the file in this format, save it to a disk, and then email it to him, it does read it. Go figure. There's some coding, the old coding that the new software does not have. But yeah, that's. I'm going to bring this to. I'm going to bring this to a close. Yeah. Well, no. Well, you could call this the second generation of floppy. I had the floppy disk. I had the optical drive. I was everything electronic. Again, I'm. As you can see, the name on this. I don't know if you guys can see that. Move that to you. That IBM. I'm a 48-year IBM technician. Started at the age of 17, right out of high school. They came looking for young men to learn how to fix typewriters, and I had an opportunity to go to school to learn computer programming, or to a place called Control Data to learn. No, chance to go to school to learn computer science, or Control Data to learn computer key punch. And when IBM came to my high school and they were looking for technicians, I says, "Gee, I'm a mechanic. I'm in a high school that learned me how to fix radios and TVs. I'm very good at taking things apart and putting them back together to make them work." And 48 years later, I was retired from doing that. And during that time period, a functioning church musician. Now, what's a functioning church musician? I made every rehearsal and every service that was required of me to make. Plus, I will hold down a full-time job and get married and have 2 children and pay bills. So, yeah, I have some experience and still loved music. Never lost a love for it. And as a working musician, for those who complain that their hands get tired, I've never had my hands get tired as a church musician. I never had them hurt. They never pained. And I played 9 years on a Steinway piano. Maybe broke 2 strings in 9 years. And the remaining years I was an organist, not just a Hammond organ, but on a pipe organ. So there is history in what I teach and what I instruct, and I got to stop saying the word teach because I was never taught. I keep telling myself, say instruct, don't say teach, because you've never taught. You've been instructed, and you're instructing in the approach. A musician who perhaps may never sit down with a formal teacher, at least the least that I can do is to share everything that I know in the hopes that they will go and seek the counsel of a formal instructor, but go with the knowledge of what a scale is, what chords are, what their names are, what the Nashville scale is. Now that I am pushing that, which I wholly endorse now, I've seen other YouTubers instruct in the number system, but never talk to the chords in the Nashville system. They just talk to, this is the chord you want to put on the five, and I go, but give them the name of that chord in relationship to the system that that chord is being called for. Maybe with my videos, they will add that to their teaching, like they did playing the scales. Yes, they have. I have been copied, and that's okay as long as I'm giving information that is pertinent for the instruction of younger musicians and middle-aged and older ones too. I have a lot of people who watch my page. I'm aware of that. So I'm conscious of who I'm talking to at all times. Um, let's see. I want to thank those who have come in once again. I've been here more than an hour, I think. Let me just look at my. What am I saying? Hour and 37 minutes. Let me thank those who have come in. I'm going to close this out and maybe find me a snack. I did air fry some chicken. If you've seen on my channel, I have, as I'm expanding the things that I do, because I find other YouTube content creators are doing well, going beyond what their channel is. I do have 2 air fried chicken videos. I need to do a third one because I've got a new air fryer and the chicken comes out better in that one. But yes, I do cook. I'm not afraid to go and purchase raw vegetables, fresh meats, do the cutting, cleaning, preparation with seasoning, and then do the cooking of it based upon learning from other YouTubers who have shown you this is how you do this, and I can say that it does come out well. I've actually now in the midst have been making my own pizza dough, and I have made pizza. Let me see if I can share you a picture of how it came out. Let me go find a picture. Yeah, I do it all. I'm because somewhere there's a musician who is hungry and he's wondering where's he going to go get his next meal, and I'm like, well, your next meal is in your hands if you know what to do. Here it is. I just want to share you the picture of the last pizza I had. Let's bring it on the page where I am right now. I just pulled it off of a site where I share whenever I cook. I always share what I'm doing. Again, I want to show musicians this. You should have more to you than just music. So you're going to see. Pull it in. Let's name it pizza. So that I will never have to go and buy a pizza from Pizza Hut again or from, where is it? Oh, there it is. Trying to find it on my, it should be right there. That's what it's called. Is that it? No. That's not it. Oh, I'm bringing it in wrong. That's why it's not there. Okay. It's an image, not a screen. Get rid of that. Yes. Just showing you that there's musicians should have many gifts and many talents. There you go. Let's change some of that spacing there. Come on. Come on. Stop that. Trying to resize it. It won't let me do it. Come on. That's what I'm trying to do. All right. So this is what I do in my off time when I'm not playing. I will go and learn how to make pizza at home by making the dough from scratch. I love pepperoni pizza. I've spent many a dollar in Papa John's having them deliver me pepperoni pizza. And I said, well, gee, I have an oven. I can learn how to make the pizza dough just like they do in the pizza place. Buy the pepperoni, buy the mozzarella cheese, buy the pizza sauce, which you get out of any reputable supermarket. Heat the oven to 450 degrees. I had to buy the correct that tray that you're sitting on was a lifesaver. That got my crust very brown and crispy, so that now I can make a pizza. I got three doughs sitting in the refrigerator right now. If I want a pizza right now, I could go upstairs, stretch out my dough, put on my sauce, shake on my cheese, and in 13 minutes have it coming out looking just like that. And then come downstairs after I finish eating my pizza and write a song. So yeah, this is the kind of fun that I have right now in retirement. In fact, let's see. I'm just making conversation now. I just want to share. Oh, here it is. Let's pull this out. And on Sundays, when I'm also hungry again, the wife does not have to cook for me. I tell her, don't worry, Chef Sam is going to cook today. This is what I had 2 Sundays ago. Of course, I always take pictures of stuff whenever I do something. That got me covered up, but that's what I had 2 Sundays ago. That's air fried chicken, baby spinach, and that's pasta and broccoli. And yes, I learned how to do air fried chicken from YouTube. I learned how to cook baby spinach from YouTube, and the pasta and broccoli was just a package. Just heat water for 7 minutes, and add and stir for another 10 minutes, and then it's done. But those are besides music. A lot of the things. Let me get that out of the way. A lot of the things that I do besides creating videos, creating music, we'll just let those sit right there. This life, it is a one-way trip. Invasion, you're going to find out, and when you do it correctly, and I will suggest go to the YouTube and look at not just one video, but look at several videos. You want to learn how to make the dough. That's going to take you overnight. The it I when I made my last batch of dough, I couldn't understand how come I couldn't make me a pizza right there, and I forgot the first time I did it. I let it rest in the refrigerator overnight. If you don't let it rest, it sticks to your fingers. But you let it rest, it will expand in your refrigerator, and then you can take it out, and it's like Play-Doh. You can mold it to get to the size that you want, and generally, what I'll do is I'll bring up my iPad, my headphones, and I'll be listening to music while I'm making my pizza, enjoying life. And if I could say this to a lot of you younger generation musicians, don't wait to get 66 like me to explore life other than playing the next song, playing the next service. I understand it is a gig. You have to be able to eat. But it'd be a wonderful thing if you could make that money and stack it in your younger years and then learn how to feed yourself along the way. You not don't have to go out every service at the end of every service to Olive Gardens or to whatever the places are in your area where you're now plunking down $30 and $40 for a burger. I haven't shown you my. Do I have my burgers on here? I'm gonna show you my burger. Then I'm gonna go. Again, I'm trying to. I want to encourage all the musicians to really enjoy this journey of music, but don't eliminate the other things in life that make life worth living. So I want you to see my burgers, because the doctor tells me I got to lose weight, and he's right, because I feed myself too good, and I am doing that. I am losing weight. I had salad with the air fried chicken today for lunch. So, oh, now that was a good meal I had. Let's see. I'm going to show you this one, and then I'm going to go. All right, let's change out this. There it is. Now, I love going to Longhorns, but they done got very expensive in there to go to Longhorns and to get what I love to have maybe every 2 or 3 months. But because I pay attention to the internet, I learned how to air that steak was cooked in an air fryer. I learned the style how to cook it in the air fryer. The broccoli was made from fresh broccoli, which in fact I got some fresh broccoli now. I just put in the freezer for the next time I can do this. And that sweet potato was made in an air fryer. Yes, yes. One second. I'm going to have to go. The wife is calling me, but just to show you guys that there's a lot more to life than just music. I love cooking also, not just um, pizzas, but full course meals that taste as good and look as good as going to the restaurants. That's extra money in my retirement days. I don't have to spend. No sense going to Longhorns now for a meal to spend $30 to $40 plus a tip, driving, of course, and all those good things. When I can do the same exact thing at home. Well, I've got to go upstairs because I'm getting one of those honey, can you do requests. Thank you all for coming in and for spending some time with me. Let me get off this scene. Keep the music fresh, keep the music happy. Um, Believe that what is the best is still inside of you. And if I can help you draw that out and make me happy by the style of music you're going to be playing, then I would have done my chores in life for this life. Thanks again, everyone that has come in before I get yelled at upstairs. Take care, and I will see you the next time. Take care. Bye.